Well, actor Heather Locklear is ordered to complete 30 days in a residential mental health facility. A judge handed down that ruling yesterday after Locklear pled no contest to 8 misdemeanor counts in her police battery case from last year.
Have you ever wondered what truly happened and sank the once golden icon of Hollywood, Heather Locklear, behind those heart-stopping California sunsets? Los Angeles, April 2026. High up in the hills of Malibu, a woman sits alone on the balcony of her oceanfront mansion, staring out at the Pacific with a glass of non-alcoholic wine in her hand. She looks just as stunning as she did 30 years ago when she ruled primetime TV as the ultimate blonde bombshell. But something's different now. This is Heather Locklear at 64. Just weeks ago, she went public with a brand new romance with Lorenzo Lamas. Yet only 11 months earlier, she quietly ended her 5-year engagement to Chris Heisser. 30 years of dazzling fame, 20 trips to rehab, 8 criminal charges, 2 marriages destroyed by violence, and one of the most brutal double betrayals Hollywood has ever seen. So here's the question nobody can stop asking. Is Lorenzo Lamas her final savior? Or just the next dark chapter in a tragedy that refuses to die? Tonight on Hollywood Files, we're going deep into the shadows. From the bullied, flat-chested teenager crying in San Fernando Valley, to the police interrogation room in 2018, to the secrets her own daughter Ava says even she doesn't dare tell the world. You think you already know the story of Heather Locklear? Think again. What you're about to hear is far darker, far messier, and far more heartbreaking than anything the tabloids ever showed you. If you're brave enough to finally find out what's really been happening over all these years, smash that like button right now, subscribe to Hollywood Files, and turn on post notifications. Because once this story begins, you won't be able to look away. Chapter 1, The Ugly Duckling, The Dark Childhood. Have you ever wondered what the ultimate blonde bombshell of 1980s and 90s television was like before the spotlight ever touched her? San Fernando Valley, California, the late 1960s. Picture a modest, middle-class house on a quiet street lined with orange trees and white picket fences. From the outside, it looked like the perfect American dream. Green lawn, station wagon in the driveway, laughter drifting through the screen door on summer evenings. But inside those walls lived a little girl who would one day rule primetime television, and who was quietly learning how to survive in the shadows long before the camera started rolling. Her name was Heather Dean Locklear. She was born on September 25th, 1961, the youngest of 4 children. Her father, Bill Locklear, was a former U.S. Marine who carried the battlefield discipline straight into family life. Every dinner was run like inspection. Sit up straight, speak when spoken to, no excuses. Bill believed toughness built character, and he made sure his children learned that lesson the hard way. Her mother, Diane Locklear, worked as a production executive at Disney. She brought home stories of magic, fairy tales, and Hollywood glamour. Where her father offered iron rules, her mother offered dreams. Those two worlds collided inside one small house, creating a childhood that was equal parts structure and longing. On the surface, Heather was the perfect daughter, polite, well-behaved, always smiling for family photos. But behind that smile was a girl who felt invisible. By the time she hit her early teens, Heather had become what the other kids cruelly called the ugly duckling. She was painfully skinny, arms like sticks, legs like toothpicks. Her chest stayed flat while other girls developed curves. Severe acne covered her face. Metal braces glinted every time she tried to smile. In the hallways of her San Fernando Valley High School, the taunts followed her like shadows. Flat chest, pimple face, stick girl. She was cut from the cheerleading squad because, as the coach supposedly said, she just doesn't have the look. Every morning before school, Heather stood in front of the bathroom mirror, staring at her reflection. She would pull her hair forward to hide the pimples, tug at her baggy shirts to disguise how thin she was, and whisper to herself, "Why can't I just look normal? The rejection stung deeper than anyone knew. There are whispers, never officially confirmed but repeated by people close to the family, that by age 13, Heather was already slipping into a quiet depression. She cried in her bedroom at night, face buried in her pillow, so no one would hear. When she tried to talk about the bullying, her parents' response was the same Marine-style answer her father had lived by. You have to be strong. Stop being weak. Life doesn't hand out participation trophies. So Heather learned to swallow the pain, paste on that famous smile, and pretend everything was fine. But one memory from when she was only 6 years old reveals the steel already forming inside her. It was a quiet evening. Heather had done something small, maybe spilled milk or talked back, and her father reached for the belt. The little girl stood trembling in the living room, eyes wide. Instead of crying or running, 6-year-old Heather looked straight up at her father and spoke in the sweetest, softest voice she could manage. Daddy, I love you so much. I promise I'll be good. Please don't hit me anymore. It makes me so sad. The room went still. That night, something shifted. Not only did she escape the spanking, but her parents eventually agreed to stop using corporal punishment altogether. At 6 years old, Heather had already discovered the one weapon more powerful than her father's belt: emotional manipulation wrapped in innocence. She learned that words, delivered just right, could bend even the strictest rules. That single moment became the foundation of everything that followed. Because the girl the world would later call the ultimate California blonde was never handed beauty or confidence on a silver platter. She earned her survival skills the hard way, in the hallways where she was mocked, in the mirror where she hated what she saw, and in the quiet nights when she taught herself to hide the hurt. Those painful, lonely years in San Fernando Valley forged something unbreakable in Heather Locklear. The same resilience that let a skinny, acne-covered teenager survive high school hell would later carry her through Hollywood's brutal spotlight, through 2 marriages that nearly destroyed her, through mugshots splashed across every tabloid, and through 20 trips to rehab. She wasn't born a star. She was forged in the fire of being overlooked, underestimated, and told she wasn't enough. And every time life tried to break her later, when Tommy Lee's rage left bruises, when her best friend stole her husband, when police dragged her out of her own home, she would remember the girl who once stood in front of her father with nothing but soft words, and still won. That little girl from the valley never disappeared. She just learned how to wear the mask better than anyone else in Hollywood. Chapter 2: The Golden Hour Queen. The blinding rise to fame. But how does a girl who once learned to survive by wearing the perfect mask suddenly step into the brightest spotlight Hollywood had ever seen? UCLA, fall of 1981. The campus was alive with golden California light filtering through the palm trees. Heather Locklear was 20 years old, 5'5", and still carrying the quiet scars of the ugly duckling years. Her supermodel dream had already died a quick death. She simply wasn't tall enough. But her father, Bill Locklear, now head of admissions at UCLA, opened one small door that would change everything. He got her a single modeling job, the university's Bearwear fashion catalog. It was nothing glamorous, just a few hours posing in sweatshirts and jeans for the school store. Heather showed up nervous, braces finally off, but the old insecurity still whispering in her ear. The photographer took one look at her and said, "You've got something." Within weeks, that something turned into an audition for a brand new primetime soap opera called Dynasty. The producers were looking for a seductive young blonde to play Sammy Jo Carrington, the scheming, troublemaking niece of the oil baron Blake Carrington. Heather walked into the room with zero acting experience, heart hammering so hard she could barely remember her lines. She was awkward, stiff, invisibly terrified. But she had the one thing they couldn't teach: raw, magnetic beauty and that quiet, dangerous hunger in her eyes. The same hunger she had developed surviving high school hallways where she was mocked for being not enough. They cast her anyway. Overnight, the girl who once cried in her bedroom became Sammy Jo, the ultimate blonde bombshell with the icy smile and bedroom eyes. Dynasty exploded into the top 10. Millions of Americans tuned in every week just to watch Heather strut across the screen in designer gowns and fur coats, delivering lines dripping with venom and sex. The same girl who had been cut from cheerleading was now America's new television obsession. But Hollywood wasn't done testing her. Next came T.J. Hooker in 1982, starring opposite William Shatner. The producers wanted to capitalize on Heather's legendary curves. The problem? She didn't have the curves they wanted, so they did what Hollywood always does. They manufactured them. In the dressing room, Heather found padded bras and, worse, foam rubber butt pads sewn into her police uniform pants. The message was clear: your real body isn't good enough for television. She tried the bra for a few episodes. Then one day she walked in, saw the butt pads laid out like some grotesque costume piece, and snapped. She picked them up, held them in front of the producers, and said, "You are not putting these on me. I'm not wearing fake ass." The room went dead silent. Instead of fighting, Heather made them a deal. She would do more bikini scenes, more go-go dancing moments, whatever it took to keep the ratings up, as long as they let her keep her real body. The writers scrambled to write in pool scenes and tight uniforms. Heather Locklear, the former flat chest from high school, had just negotiated her own objectification on her own terms. She was learning fast. In this town, power didn't come from saying no. It came from saying yes, but only on your own conditions. Then, in 1993, came the role that would crown her forever. Melrose Place was struggling in its first season, ranked a dismal number 94. The producers made a desperate phone call. They offered Heather a 4-episode guest arc as Amanda Woodward, a sharp, ruthless, sexually dominant advertising executive who would stop at nothing to get what she wanted. Heather didn't just guest star, she took over the entire show. From the moment Amanda stepped onto the screen in that power suit and killer heels, ratings skyrocketed from number 94 to number 50 in a single season. Nearly 15 million Americans tuned in every Wednesday night. Amanda wasn't just a character, she was a cultural phenomenon. Women wanted to be her, men wanted her. Tabloids couldn't stop writing about her. Heather earned 4 consecutive Golden Globe nominations and became the undisputed queen of primetime television. Hollywood insiders started calling her the ultimate rating savior. Whenever a show was bleeding viewers, the first name on the emergency list was always the same: Heather Locklear. She had turned Dynasty into a juggernaut, saved T.J. Hooker with her body, and single-handedly resurrected Melrose Place. Producers joked that if ratings flatlined, they just needed to call the blonde. On the surface, it looked like a fairy tale. Private jets, magazine covers, millions of fans screaming her name. The girl who once hid in high school hallways was now on the cover of TV Guide and Rolling Stone, voted one of People magazine's most beautiful women in America. But the price was already being paid in the shadows. The constant pressure to look perfect. The wardrobe departments that still tried to pay, tuck, and reshape her. The executives who reminded her daily that her value was measured in Nielsen points and male gaze. The late-night shoots that left her exhausted and lonely in her Beverly Hills mansion. The fear that if she ever stopped being the ultimate blonde bombshell, the phone would stop ringing. She had gone from the ugly duckling to the golden swan in less than a decade. Yet deep down, that same scared girl from San Fernando Valley still lived inside her. The one who knew exactly how quickly the world could turn on you if you weren't enough. And as the 90s rolled on and the spotlight grew hotter, that quiet fear began to whisper louder. How long can you keep this mask on before it starts to crack? Chapter 3. Hell's First Marriage. Tommy Lee in the beginning of the nightmare. But just as the spotlight turned Heather into Hollywood's undisputed golden swan, the same woman who had learned to survive by wearing the perfect mask was about to walk straight into the first circle of her own private hell. Christmas Eve, 1985. The black stretch limousine glided through the glittering streets of Los Angeles like a dark promise. Inside, the leather smelled of expensive cologne and new money. 24-year-old Heather Locklear sat in a red velvet dress, champagne glass in hand, still riding the high of her rising fame on Dynasty. Suddenly, the sunroof opened. Cold night air rushed in. Tommy Lee, the wild 23-year-old drummer of Motley Crue, popped up through the roof like a rock and roll jack-in-the-box. His long hair whipped in the wind as he dropped to one knee on the roof of the moving car, pulled out a 2.3-carat diamond ring that caught every streetlight, and shouted at the top of his lungs, "Will you marry me?" Heather laughed, half thrilled, half terrified. The proposal was reckless, loud, and completely Tommy. In that moment, it felt like the ultimate rock star fairy tale. She said yes. The ring slid onto her finger, and the limousine sped on into the night while fireworks exploded somewhere over the hills. 6 months later, on May 10, 1986, they were married in a lavish Beverly Hills ceremony that screamed Hollywood excess. Cameras flashed, champagne flowed. The bad boy rocker and the primetime princess, it looked perfect on paper. But the fairy tale cracked the moment their plane touched down in the Cayman Islands for the honeymoon. The fighting started on the very first night. What began as playful banter quickly turned vicious. Tommy's temper, already legendary in the rock world, exploded without warning. Furniture was thrown, doors were slammed so hard the hinges bent. Neighbors called the local police, who showed up at their luxury villa to break up a screaming match that could be heard down the beach. The newlyweds were warned to keep it down or leave the island. Heather smiled tightly for the officers, apologized, and went back inside to a husband whose rage was only getting started. Back in Los Angeles, the mask she had perfected in high school became her daily armor. The bruises began appearing in places makeup could hide. On her arms, her thighs, once across her ribs after Tommy shoved her hard into a wall during one of his drunken rages. She never spoke about it publicly. When friends asked about the marks, she laughed it off. "You know Tommy, he gets a little crazy when he drinks." Inside, she was shrinking. The same girl who once stood up to producers and refused fake butt pads now found herself walking on eggshells in her own home. Then came the night that shattered whatever hope was left. Heather returned from a long day on set to find her beloved small dog, a tiny, gentle creature she had raised from a puppy, lying dead on the kitchen floor. Tommy's massive Rottweiler had attacked it. The little dog's body was broken and bloodied. Heather dropped to her knees in the pool of blood, cradling the lifeless animal, sobbing so hard she couldn't breathe. Tommy stood in the doorway, shirtless and drunk, muttering that it wasn't his fault. He never apologized. Not once. That single image, her dead dog in her arms, became the moment Heather realized she was trapped in something far darker than she had ever imagined. The fear grew even worse when rumors reached her that Tommy had slept with the woman who later tested positive for HIV. In the mid-'80s, the disease was still a death sentence and shrouded in terror. Heather, terrified and humiliated, insisted they both get tested together. They sat side by side in a cold clinic waiting room, holding hands that no longer felt loving, just desperate. The tests came back negative, but the emotional scar remained. Heather had looked her own mortality in the eye because of the man she had married. 7 years. 7 years of public glamour and private violence. 7 years of smiling on red carpets while hiding bruises under long sleeves. 7 years of pretending the rock and roll bad boy and the television princess were still living the dream. By 1993, the dream was dead. Heather filed for divorce. The official reason given to the press was the bland, safe phrase, irreconcilable differences. Those who knew the truth understood it was something much uglier. 7 years of fear, control, and a slow erosion of the woman she used to be. When the papers were signed, Heather walked out of the courthouse alone. No dramatic scene, no tears for the cameras, just quiet exhaustion. She thought the nightmare was finally over. She had no idea that the next chapter, the one with Richie Sambora and the ultimate double betrayal, would make Tommy Lee's violence look almost simple by comparison. Because the real damage wasn't the bruises or the dead dog or even the HIV scare. The real damage was what those 7 years did to the girl who once stood in front of her Marine father and used nothing but soft words to survive. They taught her that love could look exactly like danger. And sometimes the most dangerous men are the ones who make you feel most alive right before they break you. And Heather Locklear, the ultimate blonde bombshell of primetime, was only just beginning to learn how deep that particular lesson could cut. Chapter 4, The Double Betrayal, Richie Sambora and Denise Richards. She thought the nightmare had ended with Tommy Lee. After 7 years of bruises, broken dogs, and fear, Heather Locklear walked out of that courthouse in 1993, believing she had finally escaped. The ink was barely dry on the divorce papers when a new chapter began. One that looked, for a little while, like the happily ever after she had always dreamed of. It was 1994, and Hollywood was calling it the perfect match. Richie Sambora, the legendary guitarist of Bon Jovi, had been introduced to Heather by a mutual makeup artist. Within weeks, the attraction was electric. Richie was everything Tommy wasn't. Charming, articulate, seemingly stable. He understood the pressure of fame. He could make her laugh on the darkest days. Just 7 months after they met, on Christmas night, 1994, Richie got down on one knee in front of a crackling fireplace in Aspen and slipped a pear-shaped Cartier diamond onto her finger. The very next day, Heather wore the ring to the Emmy Awards, beaming as cameras flashed and reporters called them entertainment's golden couple. On December 17, 1994, they were married in a romantic ceremony in Paris. The city of light glowed behind them as they exchanged vows in a private chapel. Heather wore a stunning off-the-shoulder gown. Richie looked every inch the rock star in a tailored black tuxedo. Magazines splashed the photos across their covers. For the first time in years, Heather allowed herself to believe she was safe. In 1997, their daughter Ava Elizabeth Sambora was born. The pictures of the three of them on the beach in Malibu became the definition of Hollywood perfection. Golden hair, ocean waves, and a little girl who looked like the living proof that love could win. Heather called Ava her miracle. For almost a decade, the world watched what appeared to be the ultimate second chance story. But behind the magazine covers, the cracks were already widening. Richie was gone for months at a time on world tours with Bon Jovi. Heather was locked into brutal filming schedules on Melrose Place and later Spin City. Their lives ran on two completely different clocks. Phone calls at 3 a.m. in different time zones slowly replaced real conversation. The distance grew until it felt like they were living in two separate worlds that only overlapped when the cameras were rolling. Then came February 2006. Heather was alone in their sprawling Encino mansion when she sat down at the kitchen table with her attorney and signed the divorce papers. She cited irreconcilable differences. She asked for primary custody of 8-year-old Ava and requested Richie have visitation rights. The moment the pen left the prayer, she felt something inside her finally break. Not with anger, but with a strange, hollow relief. Richie was on tour in Europe when the news hit him. He later admitted in interviews that he was completely blindsided. Just weeks earlier, the couple had publicly insisted they were still happily married. Now he was reading about the divorce in a hotel room halfway around the world, staring at a photograph of the woman he thought he would grow old with. But the real knife was still coming. Only months after the divorce was finalized, paparazzi photos began circulating. Richie and Denise Richards, Heather's closest friend, walking hand in hand through Los Angeles. Denise wasn't just any actress. She had been Heather's confidant for years. The woman Heather trusted with her deepest secrets. The one who had comforted her through the worst moments of the Tommy Lee marriage. They had vacationed together. Their daughters had played together. Denise had been inside their home, inside their life. Now she was inside Richie's arms. The betrayal was so complete, it felt almost cinematic. Heather learned about it the way so many Hollywood wives do, through a frantic phone call from a friend who had just seen the photos online. She sat on the edge of Ava's bed, phone pressed to her ear, staring at the wall while her friend's voice cracked. "Heather, "It's Denise, with Richie. I'm so sorry." She didn't scream. She didn't cry right away. She simply hung up the phone, walked into the bathroom, locked the door, and slid down to the cold marble floor. For the first time in her life, the mask she had worn since she was 6 years old completely shattered. The woman who had survived Tommy Lee's violence now felt something far worse: the quiet, surgical destruction of being stabbed in the back by the two people she trusted most in the world. Years later, in a rare moment of raw honesty, their daughter Ava Sambora would speak about that time with heartbreaking clarity. Mom completely fell apart after that double betrayal. She couldn't trust anyone anymore, not even herself. The pain didn't stay private. Hollywood gossip columns feasted on it. Rumors swirled that Denise had known exactly how fragile Heather was after the divorce, but had still chosen to pursue Richie. Tabloids ran side-by-side photos. Heather and Denise laughing together at a charity event just months earlier, then Denise and Richie kissing on a beach. The headline wrote itself: "Best friend becomes the other woman." Heather retreated into silence. She stopped answering calls. She canceled appearances. The woman who had once commanded millions of viewers every week now struggled to get out of bed. The double betrayal, losing her husband and her best friend at the exact same time, carved out a hole so deep that no amount of fame, money, or beauty could fill it. She had survived physical violence. She had survived public humiliation. But she had never learned how to survive being erased by the people she loved most. And in that silence, the seeds of what would come next, the anxiety, the depression, the pills, the police calls in 2018, were quietly being planted. Because when the two people you trust most in the world decide to rewrite your life without you, something inside you stops believing that love was ever real. And for Heather Locklear, that was only the beginning of the long, slow fall into the darkness that would nearly destroy her. Chapter 5: The Devastating Collapse. The 2018 Scandals and 20 Trips to Rehab. She had survived Tommy Lee's fists and the knife of Richie and Denise's betrayal. But nothing prepared her for the night she finally broke in front of the entire world. Westlake Village, California, February 25, 2018, 9:40 p.m. A violent argument with boyfriend Chris Heisser exploded inside Heather Locklear's million-dollar home. Neighbors heard screaming and crashing furniture. When 3 sheriff's deputies arrived, the former queen of primetime television, now 56, drunk and raging, attacked them too. In the chaos, she screamed the words that became national headlines. "If you come back here, I'll shoot you all dead." She was handcuffed in her own living room, mascara running down her face. The next morning, her mugshot flooded every screen: hollow eyes, swollen face, disheveled blonde hair. The Golden Girl of Melrose Place had officially become a crime headline. 4 months later, on June 22, 2018, it happened again. Drunk and explosive, Heather assaulted an officer and a paramedic called to help. Total charges: 8, 5 counts of battery on police, 1 on emergency personnel, 2 for obstructing justice. To avoid prison, she accepted 30 days in a locked psychiatric facility, 3 years probation, mandatory rehab, and a lifetime ban on alcohol and firearms. By then, she had already endured more than 20 rehab stays stretching back decades. Each time she promised the world she was better. Each time the cycle returned. Whispers in Hollywood's closed rooms suggested something darker. Powerful insiders allegedly pushed her deeper into crisis to keep old secrets buried. Whether true or the paranoia of a shattered mind, the result was the same. The fearless Amanda Woodward had become a cautionary tale. Yet in the darkness, one light never went out. Malibu, March 2026. Golden afternoon sun bathed the ocean as Heather stood on her daughter's terrace, watching 28-year-old Ava Sambora laugh with her bridesmaids. Ava, now a doctoral candidate in family therapy, in weeks from her wedding, walked over and wrapped her arms around her mother. "Mom, you were always there for me. Now it's my turn to be there for you." For one breathtaking moment, Heather looked almost at peace. But peace in her world has always been fragile. After the fiery collapse with Tommy Lee and the devastating double betrayal by Richie and Denise, she tried again. First with Melrose Place co-star Jack Wagner, engaged 2007 to 2011, ended by family pressure. Then with high school sweetheart Chris Heisser, engaged April 2020 during her first year of sobriety, ended May 2025. Now comes the latest twist no one saw coming. April's 2026, Heather has gone public with a new romance. Lorenzo Lamas, the 68-year-old fellow Hollywood survivor. They spent New Year's Eve in Las Vegas. Their adult children have already met. Insiders say it feels different. Yet the same haunting question lingers in every quiet Malibu conversation. Is Lorenzo the man who can finally give her peace? Or simply the next chapter in a tragedy that refuses to die? Malibu, midnight, April 2026. Heather stands alone on her oceanfront balcony, glass of non-alcoholic wine in hand, Pacific wind lifting her still golden hair. At 64, she remains breathtaking, yet something in her eyes is still quietly broken. In Hollywood, her tragedy has never truly ended. It only changes shape. So tell me, do you believe Lorenzo Lamas can be the one who saves her? Or is the darkness simply waiting for its next chapter? Drop your thoughts below. If this story tore you apart, smash like right now, subscribe to Hollywood Files, and turn on notifications, because we're going even deeper into the shadows next time. Thank you for walking through the darkness with me. Until the next